I have been so grateful for mentorship along my journey as a pediatric psychologist. I've been able to count on so many people who've helped me, who've given me advice, who've put me in contact with people who've been helpful in so many ways that I couldn't even imagine. And so one of my biggest pieces of advice along any professional path is find people who can be there to mentor and support you.
So for a young person who's interested in getting into pediatric psychology, how might you do that? So one of the things that you could do is learn about what's important to your local community. So you can work with your school counselor, express your interest in pediatric psychology, see if they can connect you to someone who's a pediatric psychologist in your community. So you can interview them, learn about their story, how they got there. You can see if they have opportunities for you to volunteer in their clinic. Another great way to be anti-racist in this pursuit of pediatric psychology is to go to community meetings if your parents allow, or listen in, so you understand what is important and relevant to your local community, and then Google social justice organizations in your local community. There's tons, and they often need a lot of help in terms of bodies, right? Like people to help out. There's lots of opportunities for people to get involved. And so when you get engaged in social justice organizations, they're often doing a lot of community organizing, learning what's important to the community. So doing that and learning from them will help you know what's really critical. And then you can start to learn how to shape your career, your interests to address the needs that are important to your local community. Because we can't take a strategy that works in one community and bring it to another community and expect it to work exactly the same. We have to learn what's important to that local community that's on the ground.
I'd say for people who are interested in getting some pediatric psychology experiences, sometimes it's not exactly, traditional pediatric psychology that they need to seek out. So they could, if they're at a university, they could seek out people who are doing work with kids that's health focused. And you're going to find those within both psychology departments, public health departments, or even doctors who are focused, doctors, nurses, others who are focused on healthcare issues of children. And you can find those in nursing departments. You can check out social work. So find people who are doing the work that you're interested in and reach out to them to see if they have opportunities. Another is sometimes I like people who want to get pediatric psychology experience. I say interact with people. And the best ways to interact with people in healthcare settings is to sometimes either volunteer or find employment at hospitals or medical centers. Even when you're checking in people as part of the process for starting healthcare, you can observe, you can see what that experience is like for children and families. And it's going to give you a different perspective than if you just come in as like, I'm a psychology intern to do this or that or the other. And so I think that's a wonderful way to get involved in pediatric psychology, is just to seek out any experience that's going to get you around people or that's going to help train you a little bit more and more in relation to psychology so that you can one day put it all together for pediatric psychology. As for anti-racism work, I think being in the room, I think learning as much as you can about anti-racist policies, about the impact, physical and emotional and of racism, and being able to bring that into conversations, perspectives, or even, seeking out more traditional, like people who are doing anti-racism research. That's going to be a great way to get involved in anti-racism work. And sometimes that's also, a lot of that is happening at the community level. I partner with a lot of community groups who do really cutting edge, like in the community, anti-racism work, sometimes focused on health outcomes. And sometimes volunteering with those organizations can really see how that can play out. And I think that that's an important experience that I would definitely say students can get involved with. Many of these community groups are often looking for volunteers or looking for people who care about children, who have time, who have some level of education, who can help them to make these programs happen. And students who've had those experiences, truthfully, when I'm thinking about them for graduate school, they get more points from me. Okay, what do you wish you had known about pediatric psychology when you were younger? when I was younger or just getting started in pediatric psychology, I wish I had known that I didn't have to just be a practitioner. Doing one-on-one intervention is very important, but it's not my expertise. I prefer providing education. I prefer working with community organizations that are implementing interventions and helping them to impact children's health. I prefer doing research, which is sometimes working one-on-one, talking one-on-one with children, with their families, with healthcare providers. And so for me, one thing I didn't know about pediatric psychology is there's many different routes to it. So I actually my degree is in developmental health psychology. So it's a non-practice or what they call non-practitioner degree, which means I am not licensed to do one-on-one therapy. But that doesn't mean I can't be a pediatric psychologist. And it doesn't mean that I can't make an impact, because I'm still out there doing the work in a university setting of the education of healthcare providers. I'm still doing the research. I'm still making the impact through community-based interventions and through partnerships. So I think it's important to know that even if you're not really looking to be the person who does one-on-one therapy with children and their families, there's still a way to make an impact. And there's many different routes to get there. And I think that if you keep that in mind, then I think there's a place for everyone who wants to come to the table and be a part of the pediatric psychology movement.
One of the ways that young people can get involved with pediatric psychology is to check out the American Psychological, or APA's website. It's apa.org. And there are excellent resources on learning more about the field of psychology, as well as learning more about how to get into graduate school if that's something that you're interested in. Going to graduate school is the way to become a pediatric psychologist or any type of psychologist. And so learning more about graduate education and that process is something that, if you're interested, would be really great to learn. It's not too early to start looking into that and understanding what that process is. Because it can be a little bit challenging to understand and navigate. And so the more you know now, the better your process will be in experiencing it. And just recognizing that one of the things we need the most in pediatric psychology is more diversity. More people who look like me and who look like you to be in this field, because we know that the outcomes of individuals who look like us are more likely to be better when they are being served and treated by those of us who are of similar background and culture. And so the world needs you. The world needs your story. The world needs your perspective to help people change and systems change and just become a better place. So if you have any interest at all in this field, please check it out. It's a rewarding field. It's a great field.